So we're going to go ahead and start the lesson. Before we move on to lesson 3, let's go ahead and, as promised, let's review last week's homework, which was simply to do the check for understanding in lesson 2. So if you want, you can go ahead and copy and paste your answer for what you did for homework. If you did not do the homework, this is your opportunity to see some good answers. So last week I asked you to do this check for understanding question, which was, oh, okay, Allison, that's fine. You should be able to join, but if it's not letting you, that's fine. So yeah, this is the question, the free response question. So it says, explain in your own words the process of creating and updating a variable. And then it's a 2-part question. After you do that, how does the counter pattern, so this is the counter pattern, with event work? Okay, so I'll give you an opportunity if you want to go into code.org and just copy and paste your answer. We can go through some of the model answers. Okay, that's fine, Allison. Okay, I see a few people putting their answers. I'll wait another minute here. All right, so I'm going to show a couple of answers here. And here we go. Okay, so here's just a couple of answers that I selected from those of you who input an answer. So the first question was, one second, was this one. So explain in your own words the process of creating and updating a variable. So we've got to create a variable, you have to name it, and then also assign it a value, so set a value for it. Perfect. Yeah, you give it a name, and you assign it a value, right? At most, it can hold 1 value. Now, the second question was, how does the counter pattern with event work? And so we can see the counter pattern with event works to change the variable with every input from the user. That's good. And then this person put the counter pattern with event works by adding something to the variable every time the event happens. Yeah. So let me go ahead and annotate on the screen kind of my version of the answer here, so that if you didn't do the check for understanding, at least you'll have a model answers and you can turn that in, right? Okay, so let me annotate the screen. Okay, so I think what I see here for creating a variable is great. So creating a variable means that you assign it a name and a value, right? You give it a name, you give it a value. Great. The counter pattern with event works by reassigning a variable a new value every time the event is triggered, right? So every time you click, right, for example, if you click, it's going to reassign that variable 1 more than what it was previously. So it's reassigning the variable a new value. So increasing by 1. Okay, So there's a model answer for you. Don't worry about writing it all down right now. It'll be in the video after I post this after class. Okay, so if you didn't do the check for understanding question, feel free to use this answer or to put it in your own words, but make sure you understand kind of the concepts here. Variable, you give it a name, you give it a value. Counter pattern is used to update a variable by 1 every time the event is triggered. Okay, that's what you need to know for that one. All right, so let's go into our next lesson. So let me go ahead and clear that out. And go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going on to lesson 3 here. So this is practicing. We've done some investigation of how variables work in different applications. We've explored how we can model them with, the plastic baggies and the sticky notes. Now we're actually going to practice manipulating some code ourselves. So as a warm-up, there is no warm-up. Interesting. Okay, so as our activity, we're going to be debugging different applications. And here is kind of the things that we're going to be doing as we debug. So again, debugging is a process of finding and fixing problems in code. We did this in Unit 3 as well. But this time, we're going to be debugging problems that have to do with things that might go wrong with variables. So in our process, we're going to try to describe the problem. So what do you expect the code to do and what is it actually doing? We're going to hunt for bugs. So we're going to maybe look at the console to see if anything's printing out as an error. We might want to, use the watcher to keep track of what's actually happening to the variables and things like that. Looking at the code to see if, anything's out of place or misspelled, things like that. And then we're going to try different solutions. We're going to not make big changes, but like maybe change 1 or 2 things and see how that affects the program. And then finally, we want to document. We want to keep track of what we've learned, what strategies we were using, and I want you at the end of this lesson to be able to kind of put words to what questions you might still have. Okay, so again, we're going to start this lesson today, but we probably will not finish it until the next time that we meet. Okay, so we'll be spending the week on lesson 3. Okay, so specific debugging skills for the day, I kind of mentioned that we'll be looking at the console to look at output. We'll be using watchers to see how variables change values. And then also, don't forget that we have the speed slider. We can slow down our code to really witness what is happening. Okay, so those are the things that we'll be doing today. So we're going to do this together. I'm going to be sharing my screen. So if you're on a phone like Allison and you can't really do this yourself, feel free to just watch. But I do want you to go back and do this yourself as well. So after I post the video, you can like rewatch and kind of do this yourself. I just want you to get this practice. Okay, so we are going to go to lesson 3, level 2. Oh, here's the link. That's the link to the Pear Deck. I'm going to go ahead and I'll get you the link to the code.org too if you want to open that. I thought I had it embedded on the slide, but I do not. Shame, shame, shame. Let me go ahead and open that up. And I'll go ahead and open up Unit 4. Slow internet is never good. All right, so this is what we want right here, puzzle 2. All right, so if you want to open it up, there's the link, but you do not have to. Okay, so this is what we'll be doing together. We will navigate to this lesson, already did that, and then we're going to complete levels 2 through 8. We're going to see how far we can get today, and then like I said, we probably won't finish everything until Wednesday. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at puzzle number 2. So what this says is, it says to run the program, watch the variables change in the watch area. So they've actually already added the relevant variables down here. So my favorite number is down here, and my favorite food is down here as well. So you can see those here, and then they're in the watch area as well. Okay, so what we're going to discuss is on which lines is a variable being created and on which lines is a variable being assigned. Okay, so let's go ahead and just run this. And it's going to run slowly, right? So it's running line by line. And you can see here that in the watcher area, you can see the variable values change. Okay, so my favorite number gets assigned 1, and my favorite food gets assigned pizza. Okay, so I'm going to run this again, and while I'm running it, I want you to observe on which lines is a variable being created and on which lines is a variable being assigned. Okay, so let's watch that one more time. Okay, so if you know the answer to the first question, on which lines is a variable being created, go ahead and put that in the chat. So there's 2 variables. What lines are they being created on? Yes, 1 and 2, right? So you can see right here. The thing to look for here is the keyword var. Var stands for variable, and it's basically a keyword that tells you create a variable, okay? So my favorite number is created on line 1, and my favorite food is created on line 2. Perfect. All right, now, what line is my favorite number assigned a value? What line is my favorite number assigned a value? Yeah, line number 5. So we can see right here, and then the key thing to look for is the assignment operator here. So in JavaScript, we use the equals symbol to assign a value. So my favorite number gets assigned the value 1, which you can see in the watcher area here. And then what line is my favorite food being assigned a value? Yep, line number 8. So right here, again, you see the assignment operator, and my favorite food is being assigned the string pizza. Yum. Okay, now it says change the number assigned to my favorite number and change the string assigned to my favorite food. Okay, so my favorite number happens to be 4. I don't know why, because it's an even number and then the square root of it and if you divide it by 2 is still an even number. I don't know. I've always liked the number 4. All right, favorite food. That's hard. I like pretty much all food. Your favorite number is 8? That's cool. I'm gonna put sushi just because, I don't know, I haven't had sushi in a while and I really like it. Okay, so notice what I did is I changed the number here and then the string, I love raw fish. The string, remember I still maintain the quotes here. So now if I run this, when I look at the watcher, I can see that my favorite number is gonna get assigned 4. My favorite food assigned sushi. And then these last lines, these last 4 lines that we didn't talk about, are just logging those to the console, right? So we see those values being printed out as well. All right, not too bad. So we didn't really have anything to debug here. We were just kind of talking about the code and what's happening on each line. So that one's pretty good. Let's go ahead and finish that. The next one goes over some rules. Okay, so we talked about some of these rules before, but it's always great to remind ourselves. Capitalization does matter. Okay, so if we put my var, I didn't debug. so the first one didn't really have any debugging. It was just going over what was going on in each line. So don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Plus I'm recording, so if you did, you could always go back. All right, so again, capitalization matters. So this with a capital V is not the same as this one with a lowercase v, okay? So remember that. Variable names also cannot have spaces, okay? So if you want to separate different words, either use camel casing, like what I've been modeling all along, where you put any word that comes after the first word, it just gets capitalized, or you can use an underscore instead of a space. This is not allowed. Something like my space there is not allowed because it's going to treat the first thing as the name of your variable, and then it's going to be confused because it's going to see this other junk and it doesn't know what to do with it. Okay, so remember that. No spaces in your variable names. You also cannot start a variable name with a number. So toVar is not a legal variable name. You can have a number anywhere else though, like at the end, that's fine. And then while you won't get yelled at by your program for this, you should always have clear and meaningful names so that it's easy for you to read and easy for others to read and understand what's going on. Okay, now we're going to discuss this together because we're not in class and you don't have a partner. How can the red and yellow warnings help you debug your code? So let's see what the heck these things are trying to tell us. So if I put my mouse over these yellow triangles, notice that these seem to be giving me warnings. Okay, so the yellow guys, these little yellow triangles, these are warnings. So not necessarily, it might not necessarily be anything that's wrong with the code, but it's potentially something that might affect the code acting in a way that you don't expect. Okay, so the yellow things won't break the code, but it might lead to like a logic error, something not happening the way you want it to. Now the red square here, these are more than just a warning. These are errors, okay? So if you see the red, you know you're in trouble and you know you need to fix something. Okay, so these are actual errors. Okay, that's an error. Okay, so the red and yellow warnings can help you, can help you kind of identify bugs, okay? So these are potential problem areas. And we know that the red is definitely a problem. And just like Jorge said, there's a space right here in our variable name, and we know that that is not legal, okay? So if we look at where our variables are defined, we see that it should just be pet type and not pet space type. Yeah, legal meaning like by the laws of programming. You're not going to go to internet jail or anything like that. The internet police are not watching you right now. Don't worry, I put up a firewall. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fix this error on line 17 by just removing the space. I'm just going to go ahead and go in there and delete that space. And notice that our little error warning went away. It's not going to bother us anymore. Okay, so let's go ahead and just try to run the code, even with these yellow warnings still up. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so let me go ahead and run that. And it's running slowly, line by line on purpose so that we can see if anything goes wrong, we'll know exactly what line. Oh, okay. So this was more than just a warning. Look, now it's red. Now we know it's an error. So it says pet name hasn't been declared yet. And I'm thinking, what? I declared it right here. I have declared it on line 2. What do you mean it hasn't been declared yet? What's wrong? Is there anything wrong with what I've done? Well, I didn't do it. I didn't write this code. Code.org wrote this code. It doesn't have, I don't think it's supposed to be a string. Capitalize. Something is wrong with you. Oh, capitalize the N. Yeah, look at the variable. When we declared it, we used camel casing. We capitalized the N. So what we want to do is we want to capitalize this N here because we want to reference the variable. Now what Clarence said, putting the quotes around it, that would fix it, but it would literally print out pet name instead of the value inside of our variable named pet name, which is what we want. Okay, so we should see that warning went away, right? It's not there anymore. We don't even have the yellow there anymore. Oh, okay, you're already seeing the next one. Okay, so on line 20, you say that weight should actually be pet weight. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. So where did that go? I just saw it. There we go. Okay, and we do have one more warning. Is there anything going on with this one? We've got pet name. And we've got pet name up here. What's the difference? So what do you notice about this variable, how it's spelled? Okay, yeah, it's uppercase, right? The P is uppercase, but when we declared it, it's a lowercase. So we want to make sure that they match. Okay, so once I change that to a lowercase p, notice that that warning goes away too. So now we don't have any warnings left. So that tells me that my program should run without breaking. So let's go ahead and reset it. And we'll go ahead and speed this up a bit. Okay. It's running, still running, and it got to the end without any errors. And so you'll notice that we've also been logging some text down here. This is a story about my pet named Jackson. It's a lot of work owning an iguana, especially because it weighs about 60 pounds. I love Jackson, it's the best. Oh, something maybe unintended here. So notice we didn't get a warning about this, but this is a logic error. We didn't mean to print this as a string. Yeah, we want to remove these double quotes so that we're actually referring to the variable instead of the string. Okay, so let's run that one more time. And now you can see it's actually printing out iguana, which is the string that is held within pet type. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. I know oftentimes when you're starting to program, even people who've been programming for a long time sometimes make that mistake. So we've debugged pretty much everything that's in this program, including the one that the compiler did not catch, because you notice that there was no warning here, because that was a totally legal thing to do, is to print this as a string. All right, any questions? I think we have time for maybe one or two more. Let's go ahead and finish that one up. And I'm going to go ahead and clear the annotations. All right, this one uses arithmetic operators. So that's our little math symbols here. So addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. First, let's go ahead and run the program to see how it works. And we're going to deal with some missing code here. Okay, so let's run that. How many hours in a week? And it prints the result of 7 times 24, 168. How many seconds in a year? And it evaluates this statement as a really big number. What is 72 degrees in Fahrenheit and Celsius? It converts that. What do the numbers 1 through 10 add up to? And then there's nothing in there, right? So we're gonna have to put that ourselves. And then the subsequent lines are the same. Okay, so let's deal with Gesundheit. Let's deal with the first one here. So it says, what do the numbers 1 through 10 add up to? So we want to go ahead and put in a mathematical expression inside of here to actually answer that question. Okay, actually, we're going to add another console.log. Console.log. All right, so how would I add up all the numbers 1 through 10? How would I write that? Is this a tricky question? Let's see. How would I add that up? I go, are you just lazy and you don't want to type it all out? Because it's going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8. Oh, that's not an 8. There you go. 8, 9, and then 10. 10. There we go. Okay. So that's going to add up the numbers 1 through 10. And it's not going to print it out like this. It's going to print out what the numbers actually add up to. Okay. So let's go ahead and try that out. Print it. Make it run a little faster. Okay, so you see that we got the result here. We didn't actually print out 1 plus 2 plus 3, blah, 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 blah. We printed out the mathematical evaluation of that statement, which is 55. Okay, so whatever the expression evaluates to, it's going to be a single value. We also need to add in a line that answers this question. What do the numbers 1 through 10 multiply to? So it's going to look like this, except we're going to have multiplication symbols instead of addition symbols. So let's go ahead and put that in. So I'm going to go ahead and change these to multiply. Multiply. So thrilling. Multiply. Oop. And multiply. Okay. So that should take care of that. And then there's one more we need to do. What is 1 divided by 7? So we're going to, again, put that into a console.log so that we can actually see what prints out. And to divide, we're going to use this as our division symbol. So a little slash. So 1 divided by 7. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and print that out. So we've got our numbers 1 through 10 add up to 55, and then the numbers 1 through 10 multiplies to this really large number, and then 1 divided by 7, we get the decimal, approximately 0.14. Cool. I've been working in text mode because it is a lot easier to type in these things, but you can still do this in block mode as well. Or you can switch back and forth, because notice in block mode it gets a little crazy the more mathematical operations you add on. See how crazy this looks? So I prefer to do this part in text mode. And you might want to start toggling back and forth and practicing in both modes just to get used to it. Okay. Notice that you also have these math symbols in your block area, so you don't necessarily have to type them. Yes, I know, Phoenix. All right, so it's 11:30. We're gonna finish up the rest of these next time, but before you'll take off, I wanted to go over a couple reminders. So I talked to you a bit about this before the break, but there are extra credit opportunities during the month of December, but I didn't tell you like how many points you could earn. You could potentially earn up to 70 points. That's a lot of points. And there's different things you have to do to earn these points, and each thing that you do is 5 points. So I talked already about the video contest that UCSD Create has put together. So basically what I'm telling you to do is to make a very short video about the application that you created back in Unit 3 and submit it to them and automatically get 5 points just for doing that. As proof, you're just going to send me a screenshot of the form submission or just upload the video to me. Okay. So there's a spot in Google Classroom to actually do that, and that's how you earn the points. If you want to look at this document, by the way, I'll go ahead and link it in the chat. The other opportunities have to do with the virtual events that we've organized for next week. You get 5 points for attending any of the events. So you can potentially earn, 15 points for attending all the events, just for attending, okay? You can earn an additional 5 points per event for getting at least one friend to attend. And for the workshops, so these last 3 right here, the Scratch workshop, Webflow, and Snap, you can get an additional 5 points for showing me what you actually created during those workshops, okay? So the attendance, I'll get that through the Zoom attendance. Your friends, if you get a friend to attend, I'll see that through the registration, because there's a field where they put in your name if you referred them. And then for creating stuff, you would just link me to what you created for those things. So let me know if you have any questions about any of these opportunities. If anything's not clear, let me know. But you can earn up to 70 points of extra credit during the month of December. Sweet, sweet deal. Finals are coming up. So that's the other thing I want to go over. We do have the finals week schedule, but we don't have the specific times. Yeah, that's fine. We don't have the specific meet times for periods yet. I think that's going to come out later this week. But this is what this is an overview of what finals week looks like. So finals week is the week of December the 14th. That Monday is a 1 through 7 day, so no finals that day, just every class is meeting. I'm making that as the last day that you can turn in any late work. So if you have stuff to turn in, make sure you get it to me by the end of the day, Monday the 14th. Yes. The actual finals will take place Tuesday through Thursday. I don't know the meet times yet. I'll update that as soon as I hear back. And then Friday, for some reason, we've got this weird Friday where after finals, it's a 1 through 7 minimum day. I know that's how it normally is when we're on campus, but I think it's even more weird that we're meeting virtually after finals. Yeah. Do you have finals for this class? Good question. So we are not going to have a classic cumulative final where you sit down and you take a bunch of multiple choice whatevers. What I'm planning on doing is treating there's a small project, let me show it to you real quick, that is coming up in our code.org curriculum. So I'm thinking of, I am going to treat that as the final. I'll answer that question in just a second, Adam. So we're going to be finishing lesson 3 this week, and then next week we're starting lesson 4. There's this little project to create a little photo liker app. I'm going to treat that as our final. So that's going to be the final. You're going to be creating this. Okay. Don't have a mental breakdown for pre-calculus. It's not worth it. Okay, so when do you come back to school? Perfect question. Let's take a look at the calendar. So if you're not aware, you do have access to this calendar right here, but you also have access to, on the calendar page, there's this little menu that says Master Monthly Calendar, and I'll link you to it. This is a PDF of our school year, basically. So I'm gonna have to share this on a different share on Adobe. There we go. So here's our master schedule. And if we look at December, we get 3 weeks off. So from the 21st till the 9th, but then you guys get the 11th and the 12th off as well. So you guys come back on the 13th. And then you get another day off on that following Monday. So Yeah, you guys come back on the 13th of January. We're probably not going to be in person. They will make that official announcement by the end of the day today. Did they already make the announcement? Well, I'm sure they're gonna. I'm like 99.99999% sure that we're not coming back because COVID rates are just redonkulous right now. I think the next potential day that they might change that decision is after spring break, so like in April. So, yep. Any other questions?